Two South African National Defence Force (SANDF) members have tragically lost their lives during an operation targeting illegal mining in Johannesburg. According to early reports, the soldiers died after entering a mine shaft while pursuing suspected illegal miners, commonly known as Zama Zamas. The incident happened during a security operation aimed at cracking down on illegal mining activities, which have become a major concern across parts of Gauteng. Authorities say emergency teams responded to the scene, but sadly the two soldiers could not be rescued. Investigations are now underway to determine exactly what caused the fatal incident and whether safety conditions inside the mine contributed to the tragedy. The deaths have sparked fresh debate about the dangerous conditions security forces face while tackling illegal mining networks. Many South Africans are now questioning whether enough is being done to protect the men and women sent into these high-risk operations. As more details emerge, the nation is mourning the loss of the two SANDF members who died in the line of duty. What are your thoughts on this tragedy? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more breaking news updates.
From what we have heard, of course, from the Deputy Commissioner, just talking about how difficult it is for them to have had to experience or see what has taken place here. Of course, they were here to ensure that there's no criminality taking place with regards to illegal mining that was taking place. But unfortunately, they have now lost two of their members. And I want to bring in now the Deputy Commissioner to speak to us about this, because obviously Operation Prosper is one that is very important. We see national working together with provincial to curb the scurb of illegal mining. But now you've lost two of your members.
Yeah, that's one of those unfortunate situations. We came here ready to ensure that we execute a plan, and unfortunately, on arrival, the first team that was busy with the first team to arrive to cordon off the scene, on arrival they noticed some of the illegal miners running into this tunnel, and two of our SNDF members followed them. Unfortunately, unbeknown to them of the terrain inside, because there is water, there's mud, and it's a very unusual environment inside. And if you don't know the territory, as we are law enforcers, they ended up being trapped, or one slipped, and the other one, when he tried to rescue him, because it was in a muddy flow of river or water, and then they got trapped there. We had to get our rescue teams to come in. We tried to rescue them. Unfortunately, two of them, as they were the ones that went in, lost their lives. And what I can say is that this is not the end, because it distracted the whole plan of us. We had to suspend our operation to ensure that we get our colleagues out safe. Unfortunately, they came out being normal. And that also made us feel this is a big challenge which we are facing, and will continue to come to ensure that this place is dealt with to the latter. No more illegal mining will have to take place here, and no more illegal activities need to take place here. We will be coming back today, and now with this incident, it's not the end. And in honor of our colleagues, we can assure you, we will come and ensure we rid this place of illegal mining and any illegal activities.
Investigations are now underway to determine exactly what caused the fatal incident and whether safety conditions inside the mine contributed to the tragedy. The deaths have sparked fresh debate about the dangerous conditions security forces face while tackling illegal mining networks. Many South Africans are now questioning whether enough is being done to protect the men and women sent into these high-risk operations. As more details emerge, the nation is mourning the loss of the two SANDF members who died in the line of duty. What are your thoughts on this tragedy? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more breaking news updates.
Kanti angimdedeli ukuthi aphawule. Ngicela siqhubekeni nento esizoyenza la ukungahloniphi phambi kwandaba ezitha kuyichilo. Ukungahloniphi phambi kwandaba ezitha kuyichilo. Sifike la sihlonipha umphakathi wandaba ezitha, kepha ngobuhlongandlebe bagqaba sekufanele singamhloniphi undaba ezitha. Thina silana uzovula umsebenzi wandaba ezitha. Zona leli hlongandlebe ucaba. Ihlongandlebe liucaba alinasabelo emphakathini wandaba ezitha. Singezwa ngezinduna, singezwa ngondaba ezitha, singezwa ngekhansela. Hayi ucaba ongelutho ewumuntu nje njengabo bonke afuna ukulawula abaholi. Asizokuvumela lokho. Ukuthi ucaba uvela enhlanganweni yamahlongandlebe, ngeke akwazi ukuba ihlongandlebe emhlanganweni wandaba ezitha. Ngiphela lapho. Umsebenzi esizowenza la owokuzovula ihholo. Umsebenzi owawuhlala ufunwa inkosi yethu uHwayiza nezinduna zakhe nekhansela lakhe. Sicela ihholo kwenkulu, ihholo elihloniphekile. Lona leli sesilidilivile. Siuhulumeni kaKhongolose. Silidilivile sizothi indaba ezitha phambi kwakho nali ihholo lakho obulifuna. Lingaba zinduna zami namathize lapha nalaphaya, kodwa uMadam Mayor mesifika useyangiripothela ukuthi abasebenzi sebemnikile umyalezo ukuthi la selike lasebenza ihholo. Sekukhona nezinye izinto esezike zathi ukuthinteka, kodwa asisho indaba ezitha noNduku ukuthi njengoba silivula sesithi lezo zinto sibalekile ngeke zenzeke. Kodwa futhi nduna yakwethu uHwayiza belingeke phela sebelibonile abantu bese lima unomphelo ngoba kuthiwa lilindwe livulwe. Ngabe lalakhelwa thina, alakhelwanga thina, lakhelwe wona lo mphakathi wabononduku. Ngicela ukunikeza ke uMadam Mayor akakathi ukuba nenkulumo sizolivula bese siyalinqampula.
And that is because, and with respect, we must take them at their word. They are very accomplished lawyers, taking them at their word to have done what they said they're doing. So for that reason, we submit with respect.
Panel, define what they meant by prima facie. Is there any indication in the report when they use the word prima facie what they actually meant? As my brother has indicated, they seem to have gone through the evidence. They may have used the word prima facie.
When they speak of prima facie, they mean on the face of it.
A case to answer.
I beg your pardon?
A case to answer. That's what I would imagine.
Well, it means a prima facie case. It means there is evidence which, if without balancing the for and
How do
against.
you know that they didn't balance? They've had all the information before them. They use a limited text. We think that there is sufficient evidence before us to indicate that the president
Says we must ask ourselves whether there's prima facie evidence, not sufficient evidence. And that to warrant an impeachment inquiry. That might have been a different matter. The other assess whether the president deliberately. Now, our learned friends have pointed out that the panel was aware, two of them. The one is the charge. They never asked themselves whether there is evidence that the president did this in bad to have this business interest. Now, not only was there no evidence on record that the President deliberately failed to comply with this rule. The same is with the Section 30, reported the matter under Section 34 and not only reported it to General Roeder. And there's never any assessment or investigation whether that was subject to review.
Just on those last two issues,
Just
on the last two issues you've raised,
Yeah.
on the PRECA and before it.
Well, it ought to have asked itself whether there is evidence on its version, prima facie evidence, that the President knew that he was not allowed to keep that requirement of bad faith simply because you don't have evidence on the issue. The panel must ask itself whether there is sufficient evidence.
And it was quite entitled to draw inferences.
As a matter of theory, yes, an inference of bad faith from factors X, Y, Z. But nowhere did they ask the question whether there is evidence that the President acted in bad faith. My learned friend, Mr. Katz, submitted that the President did not have any legitimate right worthy of protection in this case. But with respect, the President, and I think he made it in the context of you can't come here merely to protect a right, the rules, into Rule 129. The buffer is specifically built in to protect the President. And if he is deprived of that buffer, if it is not designed and emplaced for his protection, was denied. So substantial statutory right which he seeks to protect in this case. My learned friend Mr. Katz also made the point that an error of law is a ground of review, but doesn't automatically render the decision void. But if the error is one that causes the panel of its assessment, so that it would certainly be a fatal error if it was made in this case. The EFF argued that the President should have taken the independent panel's report on review in November 2022 when it was first published for review directly to the Constitutional Court. But shortly after that, the National Assembly voted not to refer the matter to an impeachment committee. In other words, the report was rendered moot. There was no further consequence could flow from it because the National Assembly had already voted it down. The report only came back to life again in May this year when the Constitutional Court gave judgment. So it is not fair to suggest that the President should have The EFF also argued that the President is merely a witness before an impeachment committee, and therefore there is no harm in an impeachment committee. So the two are simply not analogous, and it is because he's the accused, and it is because the accusations against the President of serious misconduct are very serious allegations that the buffer is built into the rule. So it's not correct to say that the only relief sought by the President is an interim relief. This is not the occasion Lordship had mentioned, my learned friend had submitted. The Court is required to take a peek into the causes of action. What the Constitutional Court said in ESCOM Holdings, that's the case we've already referred to, in paragraph 303, the Court said the following: but courts must never lose sight of the fact that this remains a balance. The ultimate question is, what is the outcome dictated by the balancing grounds of review? Satisfy yourself that there is a prima facie case, and then do the balancing exercise. And we submit, in this case, the balance is easy to strike. Because on the one hand, would be an irreversible prejudice suffered by the President once he's had to suffer the humiliation of an inquiry. As against that, he asks for a 2 to 3 month delay of that inquiry. And we submit with respect that there is possible injustice on the one hand against a 2 or 3 month delay on the other. It will trigger a delay which can run deep into next year, because who says so and not the committee. The committee has not said that we won't be sitting until deep into next year if we can't do it now. And in any event, now, we'll have to delay until next year because we have other things to do. This is a high priority task of the committee, and the committee should, instead of taking its annual break, do whatever is necessary to purposes should not be borne by the President. May I lastly say something about costs? My learned friend assumed yesterday to be paid by the state and the President pays some of it. I have no greater detail than that. I've just put on record that. But as far as the orders for costs are concerned, we submit the following. The first is that the President is a BioWatch litigant. As between the President, the Speaker, and the is entitled to his costs if he wins, but each party pay their own costs if he doesn't. As for the other respondents, the President didn't bring them to court. They have joined in on interests, and for that reason the President should not be exposed to an order for costs either for or against them.
Just to go back on your penultimate point, if this matter were to go ahead and there might be further legal processes that continue, Parliament has its own agenda and so on and so forth. Now, Section 89, to hold the President accountable, that's really for the people of South Africa. Okay? The general thing which happened how many years ago, how long is that going to continue for? And waiting for a time when there could be a definitive statement as to whether the President has done something or has not done something. It's keeping the populace feel so. Let the accountability mechanism continue on its part as well. If there is going to be humiliation and so on, that is just the part of the job, so to speak. When the President took...
My Lord, let me just say that the President asked for an indulgence of 2 to 3 months. It should be laid at his door, and he should not be made to pay the price for that delay. That delay has been unfortunate. A number of parties were to blame for it, but the President was not one of them. So it is unfair to burden the President because there has already been undue be achieved on the judgment in September. Our point is that we can't predict what the future might bring, but what we can assure you is control. And there is no fear that injustice might then be done when that this court will control whatever happens from September. It is unfair with respect, effectively to deprive the President of his statutory protection only because one is understandably impatient that the process must make progress.
Skeptics tend to snowball and continue forever, even with the best intentions of the parties. We know the stakes are so high, and that is why litigation takes the intensity that it does. So to say...
We're not saying trust the President, he won't take more time. We're saying this court will be in charge of whether there's a further delay of a case. If the President is successful, the counterparties may appeal. If the President is unsuccessful, he may appeal. But whether there is then a delay as a result of those attempts is entirely in the court's hands.
then any interdict, the review fails. That order is gone. If the president wanted any more, he'd have to come and ask for it again.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clear that point up.
Absolutely. And let me say, the terms of the order and whether who would be successful then, or who would be the winner, who would be the loser, would the loser want to appeal, would the process be done? Because the courts, if injustice is done, it would only be...
We were referred by, I think, both Mr. Katz and Mr. Mpofo. He said, and as I understand the argument, it's being put to us that the court